Jim Bowden just dropped a new article about the 6 trades he'd like to see happen before the MLB trade deadline. Of course, this comes after the news of Rafael Devers shockingly being traded to the Giants. If you have not seen my reaction to that trade yet, go check it out. It's on my channel. But I wanted to go through and see what Jim Bowden, a former MLB executive, thinks could happen at the deadline, some of his predictions, and some trades that he would like to see. This could be a crazy deadline. I feel like there's a lot of teams that are in it, some teams that we didn't expect to be out of it, kind of like the Orioles. There could be some big names on the move this season. If you guys like the content, make sure to drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet done so, follow me on all my social media at GiraffeNeckMarc, links are in the description. Also, make sure you guys follow my live stream over on Playbacktv/GiraffeNeckMarc. You can watch live Major League Baseball games with me while I'm streaming in a watch party format. It is going to be the home for all my live streaming content this year. Playbacktv/GiraffeNeckMarc, links in description. I'll be live tomorrow night for the Mets vs. Braves game, so make sure you come in, join me. Let's have some fun, and you'll either watch me have a great night or be absolutely miserable because the Mets will lose. Link in the description. All right, so here it is. He talks about how the Rafael Devers trade was an all-time stunner, and I completely agree. And let's see what he's got first. It's important to state they said several times the D-backs, Orioles, and Angels that they have no interest in being sellers. However, that could change by the deadline. Okay, yeah, let's get on to the trades here. Marlins trade Sandy Alcantara to the Cubs for Cade Horton, Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara, and Ronnie Cruz. Whoa, okay, this is an absolute banger of a trade. So the Marlins would get Cade Horton, who's looked pretty good thus far this season. He's had some really good stuff. Former first-round pick, top prospect in the Cubs organization. He would help the Marlins. I totally think that that would be a good move for them to move on from Sandy and get a guy like Cade, who's younger and has a lot of control. Owen Casey's an interesting prospect. He is someone who I've liked for a while now. He was back in the 2020 MLB draft. A Canadian high schooler who came into the draft, has big power numbers. Now, he has struggled a little bit in the minors this season. The numbers haven't been as consistent, but huge power potential. He can play the outfield. He gets on base a ton. He's just a little bit of a 3 true outcome guy, but someone that I think the Marlins would be interested in as a triple-A, quad-A player right now in the minors for the Cubs. Kevin Alcantara, another one of these triple-A, quad-A players. Massive human being. I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". He's incredibly thin, but the power potential and just the overall potential on Kevin Alcantara is very high. I really like him. And interesting, Ronnie Cruz is an 18-year-old shortstop who's been in rookie ball and hasn't done much, but I guess maybe he is a former top international prospect. I'm just seeing what he's saying about these trades here that would allow Miami to either trade Jesus Sanchez or Kyle Stowers, which would also make sense. I think the Marlins have to be able to move on from anybody on that roster right now. There's not really anybody that I see, or I think you see, as untouchable. If you can flip these guys to more prospects, more players, help out that incredibly weak farm system, that would be a good move for the Marlins. And getting Cade Horton, Owen Casey, Kevin Alcantara, and Ronnie Cruz back does feel like a pretty good haul for Sandy. And Sandy, while he has had a bit of a rough season, he's been pitching better of late. His fastball, his sinker, they're up in the upper 90s. The velo is back, and that's always a concern with Tommy John. Would the velo be back? It is. The command at the beginning of the year wasn't sharp, but we're seeing it get better and better as the year has gone on, which makes sense. Command always takes longer to come back after a major surgery than the velo. And for the Chicago Cubs, who desperately need an ace, with Shota Imanaga having some injuries this year, with Justin Steele on the IL for the entire season, Sandy would completely change the Chicago Cubs roster. Their rotation would be so good, and this would make them an even more dangerous team than we already think that they are. So this trade, to me, this makes sense for both sides. I think this is actually a pretty good haul back for the Marlins, and I think this is a great move for the Cubs. You are making an upgrade. Cade Horton, while he could be great, Sandy is better. You don't have room for Owen Casey. You don't have room for Kevin Alcantara, and Ronnie Cruz is a million years away. I think you have to make this deal if you're both sides. Trade 1, a banger. Let's see what you got number 2 here. Orioles trade Felix Bautista and Cedric Mullins to the Phillies for Mick Abel. Whoa, would the Phillies make this trade? I know they have a bit of a surplus of starting pitching right now. Mick Abel has looked pretty good in the small sample size that we've seen, but Felix Bautista would immediately address that huge black hole in their bullpen where they don't have a real closer. They don't have a guy that you can rely on to finish games, and that's been a big problem for them this year, is their bullpen inconsistencies, especially late in the game. After the Jose Alvarado suspension, they kind of were just blindsided, and it definitely shows in that bullpen. The bullpen is not prepared for big games. Felix Bautista came back this year from a major injury and looks disgusting. He's one of the best closers, one of the best relievers in Major League Baseball. Cedric Mullins also would help a lot too, because the Phillies have an outfield problem, specifically in center field. You can't keep playing Johan Rojas. You've given Brandon Marsh shots. They'll try anybody out there in center field to see if it works. Cedric Mullins would be great in that ballpark. That left-handed swing would play perfectly with the short porch in right field. He's a great defensive center fielder as well. Overall, the Phillies would be getting 2 absolute beasts here. Mullins, of course, free agent at the end of the year. Felix Bautista, they have control for a couple seasons. Mick Abel, though, has looked really good. At the time of recording, he's thrown 20 innings, has an ERA at 2.21, a whip at 1, striking out over 20% of the batters he's facing, walk under 5%. The stuff looks really, really good. And I can see how this makes sense for the Orioles because while you are giving up Felix Bautista, who has control, Cedric Mullins is probably not back on this team next season. So this is truly a Felix Bautista for Mick Abel trade. And I think in that world, the Orioles, who are still trying to compete right now, I think despite what most people want to say, Mick Abel helps them. That gets them a guy who could be a possible frontline starter for the future on a team that has a starting pitching issue. The center field problem, not an issue. They have a bunch of young prospects. And the relief pitching, truthfully, I just believe that teams can make relief pitching happen a lot easier than we normally think. Harder to make starting pitchers, easier to make relievers. I think that the Orioles would definitely do this trade. I am wondering if the Phillies would. This is an all-in, we need to win a World Series right now move. Dave Dombrowski does love that stuff. He has done it in the past. He has given up the younger players to win a World Series right now. And with the Philly window looking like it's closing sooner than we expected, I don't think it's closed, but we know that the light at the end of the tunnel is coming closer and closer. This makes a lot of sense for them. I think they'd have to do it too. I just don't know if this makes sense, if it actually ends up happening. Number 3, the Diamondbacks trade Eugenio Suarez to the Tigers for Jaden Ham and Max Anderson. This one, to me, is a no-brainer for the Tigers. Eugenio Suarez, I believe, actually started his career on the Tigers as a shortstop back in the day, which is kind of crazy to think about. Suarez, one of the best power hitters in baseball this year. All the guy does is absolutely mash and hit home runs. I am interested to see how his swing would play going from one of the more hitter-friendly parks in Arizona to a pitcher-friendly park in Detroit. I know they've moved the fences in a couple times, but still, Arizona's a much better place to hit. The prospects that the Tigers would be giving up in Jaden Ham and Max Anderson, I think they look pretty solid. This isn't a crazy return, but also Eugenio Suarez is a little bit older at a position that's not a premium. He's also not one of the elite third basemen, so you're not going to be getting top prospects. Anderson has been mashing at AA. Jaden Ham's look fine as a pitcher. This would be a great return for the Diamondbacks, I think, for a guy like Eugenio Suarez, who you're not bringing back. And for the Tigers, this is a move that helps solidify this offense. If there is a weak spot on this roster right now, they definitely still need some more power. Eugenio Suarez would be an automatic injection into that lineup of power. I love the move. Man, is it because I'm recording this at 1 a.m. before a trip? But I'm loving these trade proposals that Jim Bowden's coming up with. I mean, these kind of make sense to me. For number 4, here it is. Luis Robert Jr. to the Padres, Cash Mayfield, Kavaris Tears, and Cobb Hightower. Whoa. Yeah, the White Sox are in a weird spot. Luis Robert's value is not what it used to be. I think us in the baseball world, if you're watching this video, I still think you're a believer in the ceiling of Luis Robert. It's just now that we've seen the floor and it's getting lower and lower and lower, and it makes us believe in the ceiling less and less of a guy like Luis Robert, when we've now seen 2 seasons where he's been an awful player. He's been atrocious. There's been nothing really redeeming about Luis Robert's play. Some of the underlying stuff's not that bad, but overall it's been basically 2 wasted years. Cash Mayfield, former first-round pick last year, left-handed pitcher out of high school. The dude has some really, really good stuff. Kavaris Tears is a solid outfielder that came from the University of Tennessee, who's got some serious power. Someone that maybe the White Sox would be interested in because they still also don't have as much depth in the minor league system as you would like on the offensive side. And Cobb Hightower, middle infield prospect in low A. I'll be honest, I actually think the White Sox could get more than this. This is the first one that I don't particularly like. You are basically trading Luis Robert for Cash Mayfield. The other 2 guys still can be very good players, still very capable, but the big name here is Cash Mayfield, and I don't know if that's enough to go out and get a Luis Robert. Luis Robert's contract also is extremely team-friendly, where you have club options the next 2 seasons. If you pick them up, they're cheap at $20 million, which usually means he's playing well, and if Luis Robert's playing well, $20 million is a no-brainer for these teams to pick up. The Padres don't have a lot of system depth. A lot of the guys that you're seeing, not top prospects, so I expect that the White Sox would be willing to make a move with another team for better prospects. This one, to me, doesn't make as much sense. Of course, the Padres would want him, but even then, is he going to play left field, I guess? You'd go with Merrill, Tatis, and Robert. I mean, that is a pretty good outfield. But I guess it just matters if Robert can actually wake up and if the White Sox would take this. I would say they would. All right, for number 5, whoa. Harry Ford to the Diamondbacks for Josh Naylor. This is one I have not even considered. I know Josh Naylor's on an expiring contract, and the Diamondbacks look horrible right now. They look like a team that's not going to make the playoffs. They got to fire Torey Lovello at some point. I did not expect to see Josh Naylor going to the Mariners here, but it does make a ton of sense. That team so desperately needs power. That team so desperately needs a first baseman. You cannot keep running Rowdy Tellez out there every single day. It's ridiculous. And even when Luke Raley's healthy, probably not the guy to be going out there every single day. Josh Naylor is an everyday player. Josh Naylor is very, very good. I think a criminally underrated and slept on first baseman in Major League Baseball because he doesn't put up the Freddie Freeman, Pete Alonso, Matt Olson, Vlad Jr. numbers. He's a part of that second tier, but still, he is a very, very valuable player. Great power, good plate discipline, gets on base, plays a decent first base, this would be huge for the Mariners. And the Diamondbacks, you are getting someone in Harry Ford who, out of the 2020 draft, was one of the most exciting prospects. A catching prospect who is super athletic that might move to the outfield at some point. And Harry Ford is absolutely mashing in AAA this year. So after a little bit of slower development, Harry Ford, who is still what, 21, 22 years old, he's still incredibly young. I think the Diamondbacks would super have to consider it. It's hard to get a prospect that is this athletic, playing this well at such a young age in AAA. And for the D-backs, Josh Naylor is not really a part of the future plans. I like this move. I definitely think that they should make this trade. And I think the Mariners also should make this because they need Josh Naylor. They need a first baseman bad. And I don't know where else they're necessarily going to get. And then for the sixth and final trade, David Bednar to the Tigers for Chris Rodriguez. I'm telling you this right now. If the Pirates have this offer on the table, they need to take it right now. Now, we are speculating hard right now with Chris Rodriguez. But if you don't know, he's a 17-year-old Tigers hitting prospect outfielder who is built like a moose, a brick house, and the exit velos he is putting up right now are absolutely insane for his age. I'm pretty sure we're seeing Chris Rodriguez put up like close to 110-mile-per-hour velos at 17 years old with a wood bat in the complex leagues, in the DSL, wherever he is, in one of those like just summer ball leagues. This dude's a freak, and I'm about it. I think if you're the Pirates, you need to take some risks. You gotta move Bednar when he's starting to pitch really well. Since he got sent down and called back up, he's been pitching really well. The Tigers could always use more bullpen help. Every team could use more bullpen help. Chris Rodriguez might be a low floor guy, but the ceiling is crazy high when you have exit velos like that at such a young age. This is a no-brainer, and it also gives the Tigers a legitimate another back-end arm. Maybe the Tigers don't make this one, but also you trade a 17-year-old for a guy who's going to help you win right now in a season where you are one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. I think they definitely got to pull the trigger on this from both sides. And those are the 6 trades. I mean, Jim Bowden, normally I kind of make fun of you a little bit, but I actually think those were fantastic trades. If you guys want to see me come up with some trade predictions, let me know in the comment section below, as well as leave a like on the video to show me you want to see that content. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the baseball videos coming at you. And follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, links are in the description. That's where I'm going to wrap it up. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you all next time. Bye.